Good morning to you, and welcome back to today's JRPG Weekly Update. The internet has finally come around and has realized that Nintendo actually didn't patent everything a lot of people were saying that they did. Someone's like, well, why didn't any YouTubers or outlets report the truth? And here's the thing, guys, we did. It's just unfortunate that the truth doesn't get clicks and buzz absolutely does. So, hey, whatever, let's just continue on doing what I've always done, giving you what we know about the games that are coming out. Square Enix has been talking more about Dragon Quest VII Reimagined since its announcement, and they've actually given us a pretty decent look at what has changed. The big thing, obviously, is, of course, the art style, but we don't need any confirmation of that. But what they did tell us and show us is that they actually made the little dolls of the characters, scanned them, and then actually built the game around that, which gives it a really interesting diorama sort of look, like you're looking at actual figures moving around on a set or a stage. It's pretty interesting. Now, on the gameplay side, though, they're apparently cutting down and rearranging parts of the story to make it move even faster. Well, not even faster, just faster than it was, which was pretty notoriously slow before. Enemies are now going to be showing up on the field now, so no random encounters, just like Dragon Quest XI, and you can just kind of swat the weaker ones out of the way instead of fighting them, or you can flip on auto battle and then speed up the controls so you can actually get through fights a lot quicker. Now, to the job system, they will be adding what they call Moonlighting, which allows a character to hold two different job classes at once. RPG protagonists that have two jobs at the same time. Finally, a protagonist my entire generation can identify with. Square Enix is already talking DLC as well though, and it looks like there's going to be an arena mode where you can fight classic Dragon Quest bosses for gear, a costume pack with outfits from Dragon Quest XI, and a bundle of slime-themed items and boosters, and then you've also got different editions of the game, of course, the digital deluxe with early access, and a big old collector's box with a ship and a bottle and a steelbook and a plush slime and stuff. So they're also giving out extra costumes if you pre-order or if you got save data from other Dragon Quest games on the same device. And I think that at least sounds neat, but it burns my gizzard a little bit that they're already talking about and developing DLC for a game that has not yet released. Sure, it's some small consolation that these were not part of the original game, but if they really wanted to wow me here, they'd pack in the DLC as a pre-order bonus for the real fans who ordered the game and pay full price at launch, rather than nickeling and diming their most loyal fan base. Now, on the topic of Dragon Quest, I personally think that the recent Zenithian trilogy confirmed chatter going around is likely just people kind of getting a little ahead of themselves. In a recent stream on the Yubo and Marishito no Kosukoso Hausukoyoku channel, I hope I said that right, Torishima poked Horii about why 7 is being remade and not 4, 5, and 6, to which Horii answered, a lot of things are moving around, 7 just happened to be on the way first. When Torishima nudged that this wasn't to mean that they're not doing 4, 5, and 6, Horii literally said, I didn't say that, a couple of times. A few beats later, Horii also added that they want to make them playable on ongoing platforms. That is desire, that is not intent, and certainly not a promise. Playable versions could be things like ports, or like a virtual console, or maybe a remaster or a remake. So no real stealth confirmation here just yet, just careful hedging that still leaves the door wide open. And I think that what makes this rumor feel particularly sticky is that right now Square Enix is remake machines for Dragon Quest. You know, they've got Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD, Dragon Quest 3 2D HD, Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined, and fans are obviously going to connect some dots and start assuming the Zenithian games 4, 5, and 6 are queued up. And I think that's a reasonable speculation, but it's still just speculation so far, until Square Enix shows a logo or issues some sort of press statement or maybe shows a trailer at Tokyo Game Show. I'm still gonna file this one under very plausible, but not yet confirmed. So, in other words, still working on it, by the way. Next up, let's talk a little bit about some more of the big news here about Trails in the Sky First Chapter, which just re-released. Released? It's finally here, and so far it sounds like pretty much everybody and their mom is absolutely loving it. It's hitting the mark just right. It has launched worldwide on the PlayStation 5, the Switch 2, and PC, and early reviews are putting it in the low 90s on OpenCritic with almost universal recommendations. viewers keep coming back to how faithful it feels to the original with all of the modern touches that you would actually want in a remake. These new 3D visuals are of course absolutely stunning, and the main story beats are fully voiced. Combat has been rebalanced, and they've packed in a bunch of quality of life updates that make this a way smoother entry point than the original ever was. Not the least of which is just outright availability. Now, fans are also really feeling it too. Old school trailblazers are getting emotional seeing Liberl redone in HD, and newer players are finally discovering what makes Estelle and Joshua such a cute couple for the first time. And there's also some nitpicks, as always, like a couple of side quests that aren't making the cut, and names of side characters are just, different. Nothing though that actually kills the excitement or the vibe. Overall, Famitsu even said, now that this masterpiece has increased in perfection, there's no reason not to play it, which is about as glowing a review as it gets. For longtime fans and first-timers alike, this is the way to play it. And of course, the big question here is whether Falcom is going to follow this up with a Trails in the Sky second chapter remake. Kondo's already gone on record saying that they want to do it, and players have spotted some teasing hints tucked into the remake itself, but nothing's been officially announced so far, so we don't really know if it actually is in production yet, or if it's just in the planning stages, but we all know it's pretty much got to happen, right? But it sounds like Falcom definitely understands that we expect it to happen. And let's not forget that nobody wants to have to wait years again for the second half of Estelle and Joshua's story. I personally suspect that a lot of the groundwork for second chapter is already done, considering it takes place in the mostly same universe, world, everything, can use a lot of the same assets and combat system. For longtime fans of the Sky series, I'm kind of curious. We all know Trails in the Sky the Third has to be remade as well, it's just a matter of how. This has some non-optional story points, but a lot of people are conflicted about actually playing the game again. What kind of improvements or overhauls to Sky the Third would you need to see to get you actually interested in experiencing the story again? Personally, I think that for me, it would have to be kind of a price point thing. I just wouldn't want to pay $60 price tag on this much shorter game. Now let's kick things over to the weekly roundup, starting with this announcement from Nipponichi Software. They have a new RPG on the way called Kyouran Makaism, and it looks every bit as silly and over the top as you might expect from the folks behind Disgaea. It is a 3D action RPG where you are a little overlord set out to reclaim a stolen magical pudding, and yes, pudding is the setup for the whole adventure. The trailer shows big old flashy combat, level caps in the thousands, and damage numbers that fill the entire screen, so they're definitely keeping the spirit of Disgaea alive here. The difference though is that there's obviously more real-time combat button mashing than, diving into menus. It's due out in Japan in January on the 29th, 2026 for PS5 and the Switch and Switch 2. So I guess we'll see soon enough if the shift to action actually pays out, and if so, maybe we'll see it here in the West as well. So what about you? Do you like the sound of NIS bringing their wild mechanics into action gameplay, or do you think that the brand of chaos works best in more of a turn-based form? Sting is dusting off the old Baroque series with a little something called BAROQUE-YA, Y-A, I'm not sure, is coming to the Switch in Japan on December 18. It is a collection that pulls together 4 different takes on the series: the original dungeon crawler, a visual novel prequel, a shoot 'em up, and even a little action game. Baroque always has been a little bit strange, a bleak post-apocalyptic setting, and for a long time, most of these games never left Japan, so the bundle is kind of a deep cut. There's no word yet on whether it's going to get a localization to the West, but for people who import, this could be a good chance to see the whole picture of what Baroque was trying to do. And if it sells well, who knows, maybe Sting will finally try their hand at a new one. In less fun news from NIS though, 2 mystery projects, one called codename Curse and another Gobble, have been pushed back into 2026. One was set to be a dark dungeon RPG and the other a side-scrolling action game. NIS says that they just need a little more time, which is fair, but it does mean that 2025 won't be quite as packed as we were expecting from them at least. Capcom, though, have recently outlined its plans for Tokyo Game Show, and JRPG fans will want to pay attention here. We'll see Monster Hunter Wilds Update number 3, plus the first big showcase of Monster Hunter Stories 3, Twisted Reflection, and they have also confirmed updates on Pragmata and the Mega Man Star Force Legacy Collection. I'm personally always hoping for Breath of Fire news from Capcom, and the omission of this iconic RPG series during this retro resurgence is honestly pretty stark. Even Konami has smelled the coffee beans and is reviving the Suikoden franchise for crying out loud, so Capcom, what gives? Level 5 will also be present, bringing Professor Layton and the new world of Steam, Fantasy Life I, and Inazuma 11 Victory Road to Tokyo Game Show, but fans immediately noticed what's missing: Deca Police. This stylish detective RPG wowed a lot of people when it was first revealed, but it is still MIA, and now it looks like we may be waiting at least until 2026 for news. Honestly, this is the first title from Level 5 to catch my attention since about the PlayStation 2 era, and it really sucks that it's suddenly kind of disappeared. I'm still kind of holding out hope that maybe it'll show up at a Sony State of Play or something, or maybe a Dark Cloud 3 would also be welcome. Maybe. Fingers crossed. Let's talk about some games that recently came out though. Grey Heritage Noble Duty came out on September 15. It's the follow-up to the first game in the series, and this time framed as a prequel. Folks who have played it are saying that the story and characters feel a lot stronger this time around, and the production values have taken a noticeable step up. There's even voice acting, which you don't see often in strategy RPGs, especially in indies. The gameplay itself doesn't reinvent the wheel. It's still a straightforward Fire Emblem-style tactical RPG with no permadeath and some handy rewind options built in. The press hasn't really picked up on this one yet, but early Steam reviews are positive, with one person saying that it's clearly made with passion and care. And if you're into grid-based tactics and want something new to chew on, this might be worth a look. On the other hand, HYKE Northern Lights launched on September 18, and the reactions have been all over the place. On the one hand, some people really like the cozy campfire vibe and the colorful pixel art and the lineup of different witches that you can play as. On the other, reviews keep coming back to the same issues: loose combat controls, missions that start to feel repetitive, and a story that doesn't go very deep. Steam reviews are hovering a little above 50% positive, which matches what outlets like Siliconera and RPGFan.com have been saying. So it's not everyone's cup of tea, but if you're drawn to that 90s anime aesthetic and don't mind a rough edge or two, you might still find something here. Radical Fish Games, the people behind Crosscode, put out a demo of the next game, Alabaster Dawn, on September 18 as well, and people have been jumping all over it. I haven't personally had a chance to give this one a try yet, but I really can't wait to dive in. The demo runs a couple of hours long and gives you a pretty good look at what they're going for: a top-down action RPG that feels a bit like a fast version of Terra Nigma, and early reactions have been absolutely glowing. Steam reviews are sitting at 100% positive right now, and longtime Crosscode fans are already calling it a step up. Folks on Reset Era are raving about the combat and the dungeon design and even the music, which a lot of players are saying feels like a real upgrade from Crosscode, which is huge. There's also a little fun hint, Capybara, that helps out with puzzles every now and then, which is a nice nod to anyone who found Crosscode's trickier sections frustrating. Various streamers and other YouTubers have picked it up as well, and clips have been circulating of people fighting bosses or just stopping to gawk at all of the gorgeous pixel art. The demo only scratches the surface, but the full game is aiming for like 30 to 60 hours, which is a pretty big scope, and there's plenty more to come. A lot of the feedback is just basically boiling down to people saying, just release the whole game already, but we'll be waiting at least until 2026 for that to happen. But this demo has definitely gotten the hype machine going. Have you had a chance to play the demo yet? And if so, was it the combat, the puzzles, or the world itself that grabbed you the most? Let me know in the comments. Poporogue, the PS1 rogue-like spin-off of the Poporogue series, got a full English patch, version 1.0, on September 13. That wraps up the whole OG trilogy, Story 1, 2, and Poporogue. I feel like I'm saying Papa Roach, for playable English status. The patch was done by fan translators Lost Akina and Aquagon, and they didn't just do a straight text translation. They also modded in the stuff that was previously locked. Demo disc and Pocket Station only souvenirs are now gettable via regular NPCs, and if you grew up only with the PSP recompilation or heard about the PS1 originals, then this patch finally fills in a lot of holes. And then there's Illusion City, the 1991 Cyberpunk MSX Turbo R RPG by Microcabin that never got localized outside of Japan. The fan team MSX Translations released version 1.0 of its patch very recently as well, in mid-September, debuting at the MSX2Go 40 event. It includes full translations of all 8 discs, intro, main game, and ending sequences, bug fixes, improvements, and even conversion to a ROM usable with smoother load and save functionality. No more messing around with disc swapping. And the patch is free and available via MSX Translation's website. It is effectively giving English speakers access to a major piece of retro MSX lore with fewer technical headaches than earlier incomplete fan attempts. And with Tokyo Game Show just around the corner, I figured I'd start up a new little speculation station such a stupid title of the show, where I'm just gonna take a look at some things that people want to see, what people hope to see at Tokyo Game Show, and kind of dissect how things are going so far and what I think is going to happen. So let's start with Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3, which Nomura did just say recently that development is going very smoothly and that Square has already decided when they will announce it. That does sound like, yes, it's coming, but don't be shocked if the actual reveal lands at a different event. PlayStation's State of Play maybe, or the Game Awards, instead of at Tokyo Game Show. If it does show up here, I'd expect maybe a tiny teaser and a dev message or something rather than a full trailer. And it's pretty much the same story with Kingdom Hearts 4, with Nomura saying that it's progressing steadily. Kingdom Hearts 4 has been very quiet publicly, but every time they pop up, the message is basically, things are on track. And if Square brings anything Kingdom Hearts 4 to Tokyo Game Show, I'd expect to keep expectations to maybe a screenshot or a short status update. Most Kingdom Hearts fandoms I've seen are kind of bracing themselves to see nothing and will happily take even crumbs. For Dragon Quest XII, Hori is expected to appear during Square Enix's Tokyo Game Show programming, which naturally has Dragon Quest fans buzzing. Officially, Dragon Quest XII is still in development and is meant to shake up the formula a bit, like we haven't seen anything yet, really. So a real expectation at this point is just maybe a small update, a logo refresh maybe, a few sentences from Yuji Horii. A long gameplay demo feels really unlikely. If they really want to throw us a bone, maybe some concept art would be pretty cool. Square Enix also unveiled a new mobile title, Dragon Quest Smash/Grow, with a teaser on September 17 and a closed beta that runs in October or something. Plus, there's also an official Tokyo Game Show program block showing Dragon Quest I and II HD 2D remake gameplay where Yuji Horii is slated to guest. So his appearance could just be for those. I'm still hoping that we get a small Dragon Quest XII nod, but I think the safer bet is just more Smash Grow gotcha stuff and maybe 1 and 2 HD remakes taking the spotlight here. In regards to Final Fantasy IX's remake, this one has just permanently lived in rumor land ever since that big Nvidia database leak a few years back. Folks have been kind of expecting Final Fantasy IX expectantly. Square Enix's merch cadence and anniversary nods keep the hope alive, but nothing official has materialized yet. So if Final Fantasy IX Remake does show up at Tokyo Game Show, it would absolutely be the mic drop moment of the entire show. Rumors about Persona 6 never stop, but the only consistent through line is that it exists, and the announcement timing is a moving target. Sega's Tokyo Game Show plans include some coming soon slots, and fans will be watching those like hawks. But the safer bet is that Atlus saves the Persona 6 reveal for its own event, or maybe an end-of-year show. If we're seeing anything at Tokyo Game Show, it could be a blink-and-you-miss-it sort of tease, so don't be surprised if any Persona news is something adjacent instead, like another crossover with Overwatch or something. Now, Capcom's been pretty quiet on mainline Ace Attorney for a bit, so fans keep kind of penciling in Ace Attorney 7 into these big shows. It makes sense thematically, but there's no solid signal either way. On the Sega side, those coming soon placeholders leave a lot of room for things like a new Like a Dragon surprise, like maybe a Kiwami 3 reveal, which has been rumored as well. So I wouldn't plan my whole week around it, but I think that's the kind of reveal that a lot of people are really hoping for right now. As always though, of course, hype responsibly, but what's your realistic pick for a Tokyo Game Show reveal that you would like to see happen? Or what's your shameless dream pick that you know probably won't happen, but you hope will anyway? And now it's time for our JRPG Weekly Forecast, and we have one game here. It is the calm before the storm, and that is Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles on September 30th. This is that long-rumored remaster of Final Fantasy Tactics that was originally leaked in that NVIDIA leak that people are still clinging on to hope for that Final Fantasy IX remake. Well, anyways, this game is finally here, landing on PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 and Xbox and PC. This version polishes up the sprites, included the content from both the original and the War of the Lions acts, as well as some modern quality of life tweaks. Strategy RPG fans have been waiting a long time for this one. And that about does it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are new here, get subscribed because I make these every single week. By the way, I didn't mention this, but I'm still working on the $100 indie console. Go follow me on Twitch if you would like to see when I start testing some things out more publicly in live streams, I think this weekend. So anyways, I'll see you in the next one, guys. Have a great day, everyone.